Welcome back, everyone. As always, it is a blessing to be here. Today we're covering the 1/5 of a penny coin most XRP holders completely missed, XPR Network. This is a coin that settles payments faster than Visa, charges zero gas fees, and is quietly building the exact infrastructure that ISO 222 was designed for. And while everyone is staring at XRP, this network is about to launch something that could put crypto in the hands of everyday people without them ever touching an exchange. Before we jump in, if you find value in these breakdowns, do me one quick favor, hit that like button, share this with someone who holds XRP, and subscribe with the notification bell on so you never miss an update when I post. Here's what we'll cover today. What this project actually is, the fiat on ramp that's coming, the 2026 upgrade almost nobody is talking about, my exact price levels, and the 3 scenarios I'm watching, and how it all connects back to ISO 222 and the tokens we cover every week. First thing I always do, let me pull up CoinMarketCap and give us the full picture. The total crypto market cap is sitting at $2.29 trillion. Bitcoin dominance is around 56%. Fear and greed is at 32, which puts us in fear territory. And I want you to remember that number because it matters for everything I'm about to show you. And here's the detail most people miss. A month ago, that index was sitting at 9, single digits. Last week, it was 21. Now we're at 32. That is fear slowly thawing. And historically, that thaw is when the smart positioning happens quietly before the crowd feels safe again. XRP is trading at $1.11. Bitcoin is at $64,126. Ethereum at $1,797. And XPR, the star of today's video, is sitting at just over 0.2 of a cent with a market cap of roughly $61 million. Now hold on, $61 million. Let that sink in. XRP's market cap is measured in tens of billions, Stellar in billions, DHRA in billions. XPR Network is a rounding error next to them. And that's exactly why I want to talk about it today, because the gap between what this network is building and what the market is pricing in is one of the widest I've seen in this entire sector. So what is XPR Network? Let me pull up this article from BitGet. Proton blockchain rebrands to XPR Network, a new era for crypto payments. Right here it says the ecosystem is accelerating its transition toward the XPR Network identity, focusing on bridging the gap between traditional finance and decentralized applications. And if we scroll down, this is the part I want you to see. The network is positioning itself as a high-speed, regulated payment layer. Zero gas fees, human-readable usernames instead of wallet addresses. So instead of sending money to a 40-character string of letters and numbers, you send it to a name, like sending an email. That is what mass adoption actually looks like. My grandmother is never going to copy-paste a hex address, but she can type a name. And here's my take on why that matters. Every cycle, we talk about crypto going mainstream, and every cycle, the same wall stops us. The experience is too complicated for normal people. XPR Network attacked that problem at the protocol level. Zero fees means no one has to explain gas to a newcomer. Usernames mean no one loses their savings to a typo. That's not a gimmick. That's removing the 2 biggest reasons regular people quit crypto in their first week. Now let me show you where this gets even more interesting. The team is building a fiat on-ramp directly inside the WebAuth wallet. Let me pull up this one from BitGet XPR Network Bridging and Payment Updates. The article breaks down how development is underway for a direct fiat on-ramp, initially targeting users in the United States, Australia, and New Zealand, letting people buy crypto with a regular debit or credit card straight inside the wallet. And if we scroll down, here's the key part. This cuts the exchange out of the journey entirely. Think about what that means. Today, a newcomer has to sign up to an exchange, pass verification, deposit, buy, then withdraw to self-custody. 5 steps, and most people give up at step 2. With a native on-ramp, it becomes card in, crypto in your own wallet, done. That's the kind of quiet infrastructure story this channel exists for, because we've seen this movie before. When infrastructure gets built in a bear phase, in deep fear, the market ignores it. Then the cycle turns, the products go live, and suddenly everyone acts surprised that the coin repriced. And stick with me here, because this next part is what convinced me this is not just another micro cap story. There's an upgrade on the roadmap for 2026 called the A-Chain upgrade, which integrates XPR into the Metal blockchain superstack. That's a modular architecture play. In plain English, instead of being an island, XPR becomes part of a connected stack of chains that share security and liquidity built by a team that has been regulatory first from day one. The same ecosystem that built MetalPay, one of the earliest regulated crypto payment apps in America. When you look at who survives regulation, it's the projects that chose compliance before they were forced into it. XPR is one of them. That's the same reason we hold conviction on XRP through the SEC battle. And it's the same reason the ISO 222 narrative keeps pulling these specific coins together. And that brings me to the bigger picture, because XPR is not an isolated bet. Look at the basket we track every week. XRP for institutional settlement, Stellar for remittances, HEDEH-RAW for enterprise, XDC for trade finance, Quant for interoperability, Algorand, and IOTA rounding it out. Every one of those is a piece of the new financial plumbing being built around ISO 222, the messaging standard every major bank in the G20 is adopting right now. XPR Network slots into that picture as the consumer payments layer, the last mile where regular people actually touch this system. The institutions settle on XRP rails, the consumer taps their phone on something like XPR rails. Same revolution, different floor of the building. And if you want proof that this convergence between crypto and the regulated system is accelerating, it landed this very week. Circle, the issuer of USDC, just received final approval from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency to establish a federally regulated national trust bank. Read that again. A stablecoin company now operates a national trust charter under direct OCC oversight, custodying its own reserves and holding digital assets for institutions. The wall between crypto and the banking system is not going to fall someday. It is falling right now, brick by brick, charter by charter. And every brick that falls makes regulation first projects like XPR Network more valuable, because they were built for exactly this world. People ask me why a bank would fear a fifth of a penny coin. It's not the coin, it's what the coin makes obsolete. Payments are the slowest, most profitable toll booth in banking, and networks like this one collect no toll at all. Banks aren't afraid of crypto anymore, they're afraid of being late to it. And one more data point before the chart, because it tells you something. Over the last 7 days, while most small caps stayed red, XPR actually gained around 2.3%, right in the same range as Bitcoin and Ethereum on the week. When a 300th ranked coin holds pace with the majors during a deep fear stretch, that is not retail buying. Retail is gone. Someone else is accumulating. Now let me pull up the chart and give you the technical picture on XPR. The price is sitting at just over 0.2 of a cent, basically flat on the day, down over 95% from its all-time high back in 2021. And I know how that sounds, but hear me out. Because this is what maximum apathy looks like, and maximum apathy is where asymmetric setups are born. The level I'm watching as the floor is the 0.2 of a cent zone. That psychological level has been defended repeatedly. Below that, and this thesis needs a rethink. On the upside, the first ceiling is 1/4 of a cent. That's roughly 20% above where we are. Break that with volume, and the next target is 0.3 of a cent, which is over 40% from here. Small numbers, big percentages. That's the nature of a coin at this price. And here's the honest part, the part most channels won't tell you. XPR is a low cap. Volume today is barely over $1 million. That means it moves violently in both directions. And it means position sizing matters more than being right. This is not a mortgage payment coin. This is a small, patient allocation you make because the infrastructure story is real, and then you leave it alone. Now let me give you the macro context in one line, because everything trades against this backdrop. Bitcoin is at $64,126 after rebounding from its dip earlier this week, and spot Bitcoin ETF still pulled in roughly $100 million net across the week, even with the choppy sessions. While Bitcoin holds this range and institutional flows stay net positive, the door stays open for stories like this one to build quietly. If Bitcoin breaks down hard, everything small gets hit harder, XPR included. That's just the truth of it. So let's talk about smart money behavior for a second, because this level of fear does something very predictable. Retail is frozen, tourists are gone, and historically, this exact condition, deep fear, plus real development milestones is when patient money quietly builds positions in the names that will matter next cycle. Nobody rings a bell at the bottom of apathy. The chart just stops going down, and then one day the on-ramp launches, the upgrade ships, and the repricing happens faster than anyone can react. That brings me to my 3 scenarios exactly as promised at the start. Bull case, the web alt fiat on-ramp launches on schedule, the A-chain upgrade lands cleanly, and Bitcoin holds its range. In that world, I think XPR takes out 1/4 cent and pushes toward 0.3 cent, a 40% plus move, and if the broader market turns bullish at the same time, low caps like this overshoot. Base case, development continues, no fireworks, Bitcoin chops sideways. XPR grinds between 0.2 and 1/4 cent, and the accumulation window stays open, which honestly is the scenario I'd welcome most. Bear case, Bitcoin loses 60K with conviction, risk appetite dies, and XPR loses that 0.2 cent floor, potentially revisiting the lows. My line in the sand is a daily close under 0.2 cent. Below that, I step back and wait. Which one am I leaning toward? I'm 60% base case, 30% bull, 10% bear in the near term, and the reason the bull case isn't higher is purely timing. Catalysts like on-ramps ship when they ship. But here's the thing, I'm not trying to time the exact week. I'm positioned for the direction. And the direction of this project, regulated payments, zero friction, ISO 222 alignment, has not changed once in 5 years. One housekeeping note before the bottom line, whatever you hold, XRP, XPR, any of it, keep it off exchanges and cold storage. I use a ledger. Link is in the description if you want the one I use. So here's the bottom line. XPR Network is a $61 million coin, building consumer payment rails that plug into the same financial transformation we track on this channel every single week. The market is asleep on it because the price has been asleep. But infrastructure doesn't care about apathy. The on-ramp is coming, the upgrade is scheduled, and the standard it aligns with is already being adopted by every major bank on the planet. And the one catalyst I promised you at the start, the one that changes everything, is the web auth fiat on-ramp going live. The day a person in the United States can buy crypto with a debit card straight into their own wallet, no exchange, no gas fee, no hex address, the entire onboarding story for this network flips from roadmap to reality. That's the headline I'm front running. You can wait for it, or you can do what smart money does and pay attention before the headline. If this breakdown brought you value, hit that like button, drop a comment below, and tell me, what's your XPR price target for the end of the year? And if you're new here, subscribe and ring that notification bell, because I break down stories like this before they become headlines every single week. And if you want the full picture of the system XPR plugs into, watch my ISO 222 deep dive next. It's the perfect follow-up to this one. As always, it is a blessing. I'll see you in the next one.